Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back. I hope you had a fantastic week. So real quick, I just want to say thank you all so much for the support with my first video. Like it means so much to me. I don't know, it's just kind of nerve-wracking to put yourself out there. And even making videos like these, it still feels a little vulnerable. So I just really appreciate your guys' response. It was so nice to see. So thank you so much. So the first book that I read that I'm going to talk about was Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This book was recommended to me by one of you guys. I can't find the message that recommended it. I looked, so whoever you are, thank you for your recommendation. I actually didn't have to read this in school, like I feel like a lot of people had to. So yeah, I picked up Frankenstein because I feel like I needed to read this. If you don't know the story of Frankenstein, essentially Victor Frankenstein is a scientist and he finds a way to create new life. It just kind of goes through the psychological and ethical ramifications of that. Sorry, Theo is on me right now. I'm going? You're leaving? Goodbye. This book had a foreword of notes on the author and kind of a description of her life and a description of her in general. And I think why I enjoyed Frankenstein so much, spoiler, I enjoyed it, was because this foreword really contextualized this story in terms of her life and what was happening and the state of mind that she wrote this book. It was very bleak, very tragic, and it was so deeply human that at times it was challenging to read just because of the themes. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like a dark chocolate bar in the sense that I couldn't read a bunch of it at once. It was so rich in prose. It was a lot to take in at once for me, so I didn't sit down and read it in one sitting. I had to space it out, which I'm kind of glad I did because I was able to reflect on some of the things that were happening and take time in between. I was actually gifted this by my friends Ricky and Danny, so there were some annotations in here as well from when they were in AP literature class, so I thought that was nice to be able to read along with some of their thoughts. It just added some fun to it for me. Overall, I'm really happy that I finally read Frankenstein. The next book I found while I was watching a Clockwork Reader's bookshelf tour, and she had an entire shelf dedicated to this book. I love a lot of the books that she recommends, so I was really excited to pick this one up. I believe someone actually commented on my last video recommending this book as well, so that just kind of added to it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it. What are you doing? So this next book is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. A genre that I really love to read is magical realism. The idea that this was sort of magical realism was really exciting for me, and I was super stoked to start reading it. A quick plot summary is there's this night circus that's super magical. It appears randomly and it's only open at night, and it has all of these circus acts that are just so fantastical. Within all of this, there are two magicians named Celia and Marco who are engaged in this sort of battle where only one can win. That's as much as I can kind of say without giving away too much. And I'm sorry to say to all the Night Circus stands, it pains me to say that I didn't really enjoy this book. I don't think this was the book for me. A Clockwork Reader, I love you and I love your taste and everything, but I feel like we might just have different opinions on this one. I kind of felt myself having to push through this one, especially towards the end, just trying to finish it. I think the reason for that was just because the characters, they fell kind of flat for me. They didn't feel as developed as I think they could have been. These are just my opinions as a reader, so just don't attack me, Night Circus stands, I'm sorry. The romance aspect came up very quickly. It happened so fast that I was like, oh, wow, okay, they're in love. I'm proud of them. What I will say though, what I did get out of this book is a lot of beautiful imagery. The descriptions of some of the tents in the circus are so fantastical, but that was all that I personally got out of this. I wanted to like this more than I did. By no means a bad book, I just think it might not be the one for me. It wasn't necessarily fully my taste. Also, the climax didn't feel as big as it could have been. I don't know if I was expecting too much, but it didn't fulfill what I wanted from it. And I know a lot of people talk about this book, so I'm glad that I finally read it, and I think it's okay that it's not for me, so there's my opinion on that. So the last book that I read for this week is one that I've seen a lot of conflicting opinions about. Some portion of people really love this book, and I personally am in that group of people, but I know a lot of other people don't think the hype was necessarily worth it. They think that it was boring, but that's not how I feel, so cool. It is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This slim fantasy novel is probably one of my favorite books on my bookshelf right now. Super brief summary without giving too much away, because part of the fun of the novel is kind of going in and being like, what is going on? Piranesi lives in this house that is full of infinite corridors and rooms, and they're all lined with different types of statues. And the hallways flood with these shifting tides. And it's just this big, expansive house of hallways and rooms and statues. And it's just Piranesi and this other person he calls the Other, he meets with once a week to do research into this great and secret knowledge. It really gave me this feeling of liminality. Is that how you say that word? Liminality? This isn't really a great comparison, but it kind of gave me Maze Runner similarities, and just because of the fact that the house was so expansive and confusing and you don't know why the protagonist is where they are. I don't even think that's a great connection. Maybe it's just the maze aspect that connected that to me, but either way, I love this book and I had so much fun unraveling the puzzle that was what the heck is going on. Susanna Clarke, I'm a fan, and I actually am looking into her other books just because I really loved her writing style. So that was a slay. Finally, I'm gonna end with what I'm currently reading right now. This series, Benji, if you don't know Benji, Benji's my partner and also my housemate, and he is the YouTube channel Benji Plant. He listens to audiobooks and he has been obsessed with this series and nonstop talking about it, and essentially he is making me read it before I could read anything else on my bookshelf. It's the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson. He convinced me to read this epic fantasy, so I started it and I will let you know what I think. So far, it's definitely interesting. I'm trying to get a feel for the world and the universe and the characters because it's just this expansive fantasy universe. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up. If you guys have any book suggestions that you would like me to read, comment down below and I might get to some of them because I'm always looking for some new books to add to Chris's library. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Bye.